But today you had an engagement with stakeholders. There is now a visa policy 2025. The question will be, I think there was a visa policy 2020, there was a visa policy 2024, and now a visa policy 2025. And these are guidelines under the Ministry of Interior to guide the nation on how we approach visa application and visa issuance in Nigeria. But what are the major changes? What prompted you just within 1 year to have reviewed the visa policy?
Yeah, thank you so much. First of all, I say Ramadan Kareem to our Muslim brothers. The first thing you have to understand is that there's nothing as dynamic as migration management. You saw, like, I think it was today, when even Poland came up with new regulations with regards to migrants and asylum and whatever. So it's constant because migration is a very dynamic thing. The visa policy, what we have now, I wouldn't call it a policy because I wouldn't come here and, of course, it's the president that has the power to sign a proposal into a policy, all right, with regards to visa management. What we have is a proposal. What we did today is to say, let us bring all stakeholders from foreign affairs, trade and investment, payback, marine and blue economy, even all our diplomatic corps, and everybody on the same table, Immigration Service, Ministry of Interior. Let us brainstorm, you know, because we don't want to act in silos. We don't want the Ministry of Interior to just sit down and do a policy that will not be friendly to the investment, to the business community, and etc. So basically, today we had our proposal tabled, you know, to stakeholders, and we all agreed on one or two things. And from here now, we will be taking it to Mr. President for his final approval. You know, migration management is strictly under the president. You know,
so it's a review of the visa policy 2024.
Yeah.
What are the changes that you are hoping, or what are the new proposals that you have?
I will tell you, I was going to that. You have to understand, first of all, the first question is, what are the key responsibilities? What are the key functions of a visa? A visa is something, is a document for both migration management and border control, as well as a catalyst for economic development. That's the crux of it. You have to build whatever you want to do on these three foundations, and that's what we've been able to do with the Visa Policy 2025. When you look at this visa policy, number one, in area of border control, the application system is different from what we used to have. Now we have about 3 channels of application. You can apply at the embassy, you can apply via VACs, visa application centers, and you can also do what we call the e-application, all right? And of course, not even to apply, yes, or you can apply via the e-application channel, which is going to be an app as well as a web browser. So any of these ways could be used. And the whole issue is that we're concentrating approval of visa applications, processing and approval to Nigeria. You know, we're centralizing that. Because the procedure we have today, there's no out of control. You apply at the embassies. For instance, the embassy that receives it is the immigration attaché that receives it, he reviews it, he processes it, he approves it, he issues it. So everything is only on one person. We have stopped that. So what, if you recall, in December, Mr. President commissioned what we call a Visa Approval Center, which is a massive infrastructure. So that visa approval center will work 24/7. We have officers that we have trained alongside ICAO and Interpol in terms of the vetting to be able to use visa as a border control solution, all right? So with this new application, once you apply, the system is integrated with security international database in the world, Interpol, MIDAS, and etc. So once you apply, it's automated. The system, the application goes through that watch list, queries it, and of course, it's not subject to human influence, because as much as we want to open our borders, we must also make sure that we protect our borders. We want to open borders to people to come in, and we believe we'll be able to do that with technology. Hold on. And key issue is that from now, the e-visa, for example, which is the major change, approval for e-visa to Nigeria, for you to get a decision, either a yes or no, maximum of 48 hours. because we want to make the border, we want to open Nigeria up. Let people come and see the beauty of Nigeria. Let people come and invest in Nigeria. For somebody coming who wants to invest in Nigeria, who wants to come for tourism, who wants to call for, it shouldn't take forever. The way the visa on arrival is today, which is more like an e-visa in a way, you understand, it's that the decision making is centralized only to the CG's office. That causes scarcity. That causes bottlenecks. And it means that for you to get visa on arrival, 8 out of 10 times, you need to know somebody who will talk to the CG, who will talk to the minister. You can't manage migration process like that. The system must work for everybody without knowing anybody. That is what we need Hope Agenda under Mr. President aims to be able to achieve. So this new system is more secured, it is more user-friendly, it's more centralized, and of course, it's more efficient.
Because one of the major reasons, and interestingly, you have touched on the visa on arrival policy, which the federal government said is going to scrap, and there are a lot of thumbs down on that decision. A lot of people say, look, if security was a major issue, and there are those who say, you've not been able to explain to Nigerians, really, because experts have said, you do not need to scrap the visa on arrival. And a lot of people say, look, they need more convincing, because it's too much of a deterrent
hold on there.
when you say visa on arrival has been scrapped.
Sheon, please hold on. I think I need to correct that. It's wrong. Visa on arrival as it is today, it's a form of e-visa. The only difference is that when you apply online, it goes to the CG's office. It's only the CG's office that approves visa on arrival. Once it is approved, they send you a notice that it is approved. You take that notice when you get to Nigeria. You now go through the pain of going to what we call visa on arrival counter, where they will now put Vignet and stick it to your passport. We are saying there's no need for that. So the visa on arrival process has only been optimized in such a way that you apply online. Once you apply online, you get your decision to come. You don't need a Vignet. You get an approval with a QR code. All right? Like it is done in Dubai. It's what is done in Australia. It is what is done in Qatar. It's what is done in most countries of the world now for e-visa. You don't get approval for e-visa and get to Nigeria and go to another desk to see another immigration officer again to get another sticker. It is the bottlenecks. It's too much. And also, approval of people. Nigeria is a big country, the biggest black nation on earth. Let's call it a thing. We must make it easy for people, legitimate people, to come and explore the beauty of our land. We must open Nigeria up for business. That's what Mr. President is doing, working so hard every day to make sure that he increases foreign direct investment, working so hard every day to make sure that people come to Nigeria. And we are seeing the result. Last December, we called it Detty December, we had the highest, it was astronomical. We saw the highest number of people coming into Nigeria for Christmas, coming for New Year. It was great. That alone shows us that we need to open our space. We need to be able to do the background security checks without actually affecting the ease of passage. So what we are trying to do is to make it easy for people. So what we are saying now is that when you put visa on arrival side by e-visa, it's almost the same thing. But what we are canceling is you coming to Nigeria and being subjected to another bureaucracy. All right? That is what we are canceling.
So now, the question that some people are asking now about the e-visa versus the visa on arrival is the problem of having to access the application. On what platform will people be able to apply? And you said it's within 48 hours. Yeah. And this system is supposed to kick off in April, isn't it?
Yes, we are rounding it up.
Yeah, the visa on arrival, the physical one.
No. We are rounding it up, all right? And we will communicate officially to Nigerians on the exact date, all right, when it's going to kick off. Okay. But we are rounding up the whole process. See, Sheon, visa on arrival is an e-visa. Do you get the point? The only thing is that you need to get here and face another.
So what you are introducing in essence, and perhaps there is a modeling up of the communication at some point, is that you do not need any contact when you get physical contact when you get to Nigeria. You would have gotten your e-visa just like when you want to go to South Africa or any other country when you want to get e-visa. It's already with you, sent to your email.
With your QR code, with everything, with your details, your picture, everything is already there. So once you come in, you approach an immigration officer just like somebody who already has what's it called, a sticker, coming to Nigeria. Visa. Yes, you come in, all we do is through the Midas, we get your biometrics, then we welcome you to...
And the foreigners who are applying for the e-visa now will pay the same amount from the old regime.
Yes, there's nothing new.
No increase.
No, nothing. There is nothing, because now they go to VSCs, they do whatever. We are not bringing in any new fees. But the issue here, Seun, is this. I am, to the glory of God, due to the benevolence of Mr. President. I'm the Minister of Interior. And my responsibility as Minister of Interior is to do everything to be able to help Mr. President to succeed.
Yeah.
Mr. President has opened the space of foreign direct investment. Now, tourism, through my sister Hanatu, a lot is happening within the tourism sector. We need people to come to Nigeria. This is a beautiful land. But what we are saying is, for somebody who wants to come to Nigeria for holiday, as Minister of Interior, do you know the number of people that will call me? Honorable Minister, please, we need help for visa on arrival. Why do you need to call the Minister of Interior to get visa to come and spend your money in Nigeria? If I want to go to Qatar, if I want to go to Australia, do I need to call Minister of Interior? Do I need to call CGIS? No. The system must work for everybody. So once the system goes through, and this time around, it's tamper-proof, because the system is integrated to all security watch lists in the world. So once you apply, it first of all goes through it, it clears you. There are so many other things, back channel.
Is the e-visa, Minister, meant for every country that has that is clear to enter into Nigeria?
The e-visa is for all countries, all nationalities, all right? Based on security advice. I will not say more than that, okay? Because there are certain things we wouldn't be able, because as I told you, visa is a migration and border control solution, as well as an instrument for foreign direct investment. Investors want to come to Nigeria. People want to come. I'll give you an example, Sheil. Okay. Do you know the pain when somebody wants to come legitimately to Nigeria, just for a week, for a business meeting, just for a week, for even 3 days, and he needs to move from one place to the other, looking for who to call the Minister of Interior, who can call the CJNIS, just because you need visa to come to Nigeria. See, this is, when we talk about renewed hope, we're not talking about renewed hopelessness. I always tell you this, Seun. Every time I've been on this program, I've always said this. Renewed hope, it's not about rhetorics. Renewed hope is about business unusual. It's about the sweet experience, not just to Nigerians, but to partners, to people that are interested in partnering to develop this great country we call home.
Let me ask you, Minister, because I saw something, I'm wondering if this is, I'm not sure it does apply. There is a card that immigration gives you when you are coming in, a declaration card when you are landing and exiting. Is that card still applicable?
No, it's part of the reforms. We can no longer be giving paper card in the 21st century.
So you scrap it?
What we have done is to digitalize it. What we've done is to automate it. You're talking about the embarkation and the landing card. So before you come into Nigeria, go online, which is the immigration website. Everything is intertwined. Because we will now use the landing card to control migration.
Is that globally acceptable? Because, do you do that in other countries?
You do it in so many countries. And as a matter of fact, it's a function of the law.
Yeah, whether or not...
Hold on. Immigration is a creation of an establishment statute. And in that law, you have your embarkation and your... All right? And of course, it serves the purpose of data management for government. Okay? That's number one. Then number two is that you must also understand that it is a migration management solution. It doesn't take you more than 2 minutes. You just feel, now we can't be giving papers again because in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, government might need data about somebody who came in, all right? We cannot be looking at physical archives and be looking for the landing card of that person or exit card or looking at the declaration of that person. But once it is electronic, you can pull it even in the next 50 years.
But when we wonder, Minister, that except if you say that the law specifically asks that people must fill that form, the question is that isn't your database sufficient to give that kind of information once one swipe is or a passport in and out of Nigeria?
No, definitely. Our database is sufficient for that. But like what I told you, it's a migration management solution. Okay? For instance, if you're going to Singapore, you fill online. Even for visa-free countries, in Europe now, they're bringing in what we call the ETA. All right? So it's not something that's only Nigeria. I mean, even for the Schengen countries, even for America and a lot of countries. Because it is, see, you cannot be too careful when it comes to caution. Okay? And you have to understand that migration, irregular migration, is one of the biggest threats to even internal security. So I wouldn't want to go too deep into some of these things because I'll start entering the realm of real security issues.
And I'd like to ask you, because one of the issues that came up is the expatriate administration system. And there are those who have queried in the manner in which Nigeria has managed expatriate quota, ingress and egress of expatriate, and how that policy has affected the job opportunities, professional job opportunities for Nigeria, because you see a lot of expatriate brought into Nigeria that are doing the jobs that Nigerians can do. And the explanation or definition of expatriate is expatriate can only come in when jobs that Nigerians cannot really do or don't have expertise in, or you have your staff or consultants in other climes that you want to bring to integrate for your business endeavor. But were you able to clear the air about the expatriate quota and the expatriate administration system today?
Yeah, the expatriate administration system, if you can recall, about 2 days ago, we had, is it 2 or 3 days ago, we had a meeting with NECA. That's the Employers Consultative Association. We had meeting with MAN and NASIMA and a couple of the bodies to be able to clear it, because we all have a duty to Nigeria to protect the interest of this great country we call home. This is our only home. And long after we're out of government, it will still remain our home. And as a matter of fact, it's our inheritance that we will also be great to our children. So the major issue you need to ask me, which you didn't ask, is the why did we have the abuse we had, all right? And I will tell you, we had a scenario where we had about 12 different solutions working in silos and not communicating behind the scene. For example, the Ministry of Interior issues business permit and expatriate quota. Business permit is the prerequisite, is the foundation for granting of quota. Quota is the prerequisite for the issuance of work permit, SEPAC. Now, the Ministry of Interior issues permit and also issues quota, but Immigration Service issues SEPAC. When President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came, we had a system where real time, there was no way immigration will know the number of quota that ministry has issued. There's no way the ministry will know the number of SEPAC immigration has issued. So as a matter of fact, you saw a lot of circumvention of the system. That's why we came up with what we call an expatriate administration system. What is this expatriate administration system? It's a single solution like an interior suite, whereby both the ministry and the agencies can speak through the on one platform. So if you apply for permit, it's impossible for you to apply for permit for SEPA, for quota, if we have not granted that. If we issue you 50 quota, immigration will know that you cannot get more than 50 SEPAC. All right? So we have solved that problem in one ease. Another problem we have solved is this. Let me tell you. I cannot imagine if Nigeria uses taxpayers' money, all right, to repatriate expatriates that run against our immigration laws. It shouldn't be. All right? Because expatriates, by virtue of Immigration Act, are supposed to provide bond or whatever that is needed, all right, to cover their cost of repatriation in case they flout the law. We never had that. We were budgeting for that. We were spending a lot of money deporting expatriates, repatriating them to their country. That was on taxpayer. What has this new government done? The fund for this government is to build infrastructure, as you can see what Mr. President is doing. Building roads, schools, and a lot of things. Even enhancing our security architecture. Now, we have solved that problem, whereby, by the grace of God, from the 1st of May, government will no longer spend money, all right, to deport people. That responsibility moves from government to their employers of labor. We sat down with NECA to discuss that, and they agreed that that is the responsible thing to do. Because when you go to the UK, if you are a sponsored, expatriate, it is the company, the employer, that government holds responsible for you. You hold your employers responsible, your employees rather responsible. So what we are doing now is that the companies will take responsibility because the expatriates are only in Nigeria upon the assurance of their sponsor. And who is the sponsor? The employer. So government is focusing more on the employer and let the employer hold that. That's part of what we are also doing. Then thirdly, the law also says for every expatriate there must be a certain number of understudies, about 3. These understudies are supposed to understudy you with the aim of knowledge and technological transfer. But we realized over the years that there are certain expatriates that have been doing the same job for 20 years. All right? And where are the understudies? So part of what this EAS does is a reporting module for, what is it called? Understudies. So that we can now start thinking this year, how many understudies took over? Next year, how many took over? From there, we will now be able to start the process of enforcement. Because that's another problem that we saw. Understudies, there's nothing, there will not be having knowledge transfer and etc. We say no.
All right, Minister, on that level, and this is what concerns me, you are doing the back channel reforms, which is good. But what concerns me is where the jobs that are due to Nigerians, private interests or private companies in Nigeria will decide to go and bring people of other colors, just sometimes because of their color, and bring them to take the jobs of Nigerians. And we are saying there is a huge unemployment in Nigeria. The question is that before you issue the business permit to grant the quota, how do you ensure that this job, because the only reason why you bring an expatriate is because there is no expert that can service that particular job as a Nigeria or in Nigeria. That is the reason for expatriate quota or expatriate in Nigeria. But we see a lot of jobs that Nigerians can naturally do, that expatriates are being brought. The question is that, do you have a process to checkmate that? Because the essence of that law or the definition of an expatriate is that you are bringing someone out from abroad that can do a job that Nigerians cannot do.
Okay, Sean, first of all, you do not need you need an expatriate quota, all right, to bring in an expatriate, not a business permit. A business permit is what you issue to a foreign company that wants to come and invest in Nigeria. So there are 2 different things. Let's clarify that. Number 2, I told you, you only renew hope. We are not renewing hopelessness. If it's then broken, there wouldn't have been a need to fix it. The whole reason why we are fixing and coming up with all these new initiatives is because we realize the system has not been working for Nigerians. And this particular administration, under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is about Nigeria first, Nigeria second, and Nigeria always. That's the truth. It's about Nigerians. If you recall, in February, the ministry came up with a circular to say the approval process of expatriate quota has been reviewed. Prior to this administration coming, there were certain levels of approval. Like, for instance, if you apply, I think, less than 5, the director has the power to approve it. I think about 10, the PAMSEC can approve. It's only above 10 that he comes to the minister. So we realized that without indicting, because I've been fortunate to have some of the best and hardworking public servants, I have to say that, and my officers have very wonderful officers. But we realized a lot of abuse because a lot of these things were not coming up for review. It was being approved at that level. And what did we do? Immediately we saw it. For instance, I saw an application where a company requested for a waitress as an expatriate. And immediately I flagged that. You cannot apply for, it's not doable. Some will be so ridiculous as to ask for expatriate a driver. They need expatriate quota for a driver. You cannot do that. The law is simple. Only when skills are not available in-house, that is when you bring the skills. And when you bring the skills, it's not an end to itself. You bring this skilled personnel to mentor Nigerians as understudies and train them over a period of time so that there is knowledge transfer, Nigerians can take over. And that's what we saw that Saudi Arabia has done in the oil and gas sector. I think the IKV has recorded over 50% performance over the last couple of years. We want to start having a measurement metrics to be able to say, hey, listen, the ministry must be more responsible in approving of this quota. And that is why we have cancelled the approval being granted by directors. The below 5 goes to the permanent secretary. Because for you to be a permanent secretary, you are the chief accounting officer of the ministry. You are expected to have that level.
Minister,
hold on. Yeah. And above 5 comes to the minister. So for me, the ministry must now utilize its, must now utilize powers to ensure that only those that qualifies to be expatriates indeed, you understand, can now, be issued
Minister,
this quota.
I'd like to put a challenge to you and this government. And this has been happening for several years. And there are big corporations in Nigeria, big private institutions in Nigeria that are carrying around the heads of those private institutions. And they are big ones. Without wanting to mention their names, there are MDs and group managing directors of these companies that are non-Nigerians, and they've been here for years, 10, 15 years. Does it mean that no one can head those institutions here in Nigeria? And I want to put a challenge to you. And I can easily ask Nigerians to start putting the names on Twitter, on Facebook, to say, these are the companies that are flouting the expatriate system in Nigeria, where Nigerians are suffering. There are no jobs in Nigeria, but people have been brought outside of Nigeria to come and take the jobs in Nigeria. I would like to plead with you, Minister, that you make a commitment to Nigerians, that you will review some of these big corporations without leaving without leaving anyone behind, and ensuring that the jobs that belong to Nigerians go to Nigerians. Can you make that commitment to Nigerians tonight,
Sure.
Minister?
First of all, let me tell you this. Look at the antecedent of this government. From May 29, 2023, when Mr. President took over, one of the first statements he made, 3 words: subsidy is gone. That is a bold, audacious statement by a statesman. All right? And when you look at the reforms, even in the power sector, you look at reforms, even in FCT, all right? You look at reforms within the energy, the oil and gas sector. You look at even the reforms in interior. You will know these are very audacious reforms. This government is not scared of taking the right decision. But for me, for the commitment you're asking of me, I must tell you it's a delicate balance. When you're talking about MD CEOs, of striking protection of jobs as well as creation of jobs. All right? For instance, I bring my money to invest in Nigeria and I'm the MD of my company. You will not tell me to bring my money and walk away. I'm just citing it as an example. So we must understand that, are we talking about Nigerianization or naturalization, or are we talking about Hold on.
I'm talking about
hold on.
popular, and you are almost moving me to mention, and I can mention big corporations, about 5 of them,
please.
headed by non-Nigerians, and they've been here for years.
Listen to me.
Under this expatriate
listen
quota.
to me. You do not paint an entire street, all right, with a single brush. We want to protect jobs, all right, but we can only protect jobs that are available. My major concern, of course, we treat every incident and all issues according to individual merits, okay? There are some companies that we've had to decline quota in the last couple of weeks. There's a particular company I wouldn't want to mention for an MD, all right? Because we believe these skills are available. Then the person that is being brought in is not a core investor of the company. All right? So you will not just have a blanket to say all MDs must be Nigerians. No. Some of these companies, there are reasons. Even in the UK, there are companies that you still have Nigerians, okay, as MDs. They might be small, they might be large, they might just be average. So you cannot just have that blanket, because as much as you need to also protect jobs, you can only protect what is available. Okay, you will not kill something and expect it to give you life.
I'm talking specifically, Minister, to the jobs and to those expatriate jobs that are being taken, which Nigerians can also
If you talk about jobs, it's a different ball game.
Yeah,
but you're talking about chief executives, a blanket approach for chief executives.
I'm being specific, and you are almost pushing me to mention names. But the commitment I want to get, and I'm holding your feet to fire as a public officer, Minister, to say that would you be reviewing those who are flouting the expatriate laws in Nigeria?
Definitely.
Because there are obvious ones that are flouting. The jobs are not available for Nigerians, but they are flouting the laws.
I've been on this show too many times, right? Giving my commitments on issue of passport, right? On issue of visa administration, on issue of border control. This government under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu gave assurances, and we fulfilled it.
On this one, would you do it? That's the question, Mr. Minister.
If we don't have the mind, if this government does not have the mind of sanitizing the process, we will not be here talking about it.
So you will review. That's a commitment.
Of course,
we want to hear
it. It's a commitment.
That all these big companies that think that they are powerful,
there will be let me tell you, there will be no sacred cow.
That is what we want to hear.